All right, let's talk about something that sounds like it was ripped straight from a sci-fi movie, but it's very real and it's happening all over the globe. It's called the internet kill switch.
I want you to just imagine for a second. There are massive protests happening in your city. It's getting pretty chaotic out there, and honestly, you're getting worried. So you grab your phone, you want to check on your family, see what's really going on, and then nothing. Just silence.
This isn't some made-up scenario. This was the actual reality for millions of people in Dhaka, Bangladesh not too long ago. Student protests about a new government policy were escalating, things got violent, and right when people needed information the most, the government just flipped a switch. The entire digital world just blinked out of existence.
And we're not talking about an outage for a few minutes or even a few hours. We're talking about the entire country being plunged into digital darkness for 5 straight days. Just think about what that means. No way to call your family, no online banking, no news, for so many, no work. It's a total shutdown of modern life, and it was ordered by the state.
That story in Bangladesh is, well, it's a really chilling example. But it's not a one-off. It's actually part of a much bigger and, frankly, pretty alarming global pattern. More and more, governments are realizing that one of their most powerful tools for control in this century is the power to just go dark.
So, let's zoom out from that one specific story and look at the bigger picture. Because the scary thing is, what happened in Dhaka, it's not an isolated incident at all. It's a tactic that's being used in dozens of countries, and it's creating this very clear worldwide pattern.
Just look at this number. 283. According to the advocacy group Access Now, that's how many times a government intentionally shut down the internet in 2023 alone. That is a record. So you can see, this is not a rare, last resort kind of thing anymore. It's becoming a go-to move.
Okay, I know what you might be thinking right now. You see that number and you picture this happening only in, faraway authoritarian countries with dictators, right? That's a reasonable assumption.
But here's the part that might surprise you. The legal framework, the actual laws that would allow a government to hit an internet kill switch, they exist in Western democracies too. Places like the United Kingdom and Australia have these powers on the books right now.
So that begs the question, how does a government actually pull this off? I mean, how do you turn off the internet for an entire country? Let's get into the mechanics of it.
So at its core, an internet kill switch isn't some secret, high-tech red button in a bunker somewhere. It's actually much simpler and kind of more boring. It's all about legal power. It's the government's authority to just order the handful of big telecom companies and internet providers to turn off the service. And because it's an order, they legally have to comply.
And what's really fascinating here is seeing how different countries have set this up. In the UK, for example, the Communications Act of 2003 gives this power to government ministers. In Australia, it's the Attorney General. And of course, Russia has its infamous sovereign internet law. It's also really important to note that a similar bill actually came up in the US back in 2010, but it failed after a ton of public criticism. Still, the fact that it was even on the table shows you just how tempting this kind of power is for any government.
And if you want to see just how far this can go, look at this. Back in 2009, to crush riots, the Chinese government shut down the internet for the entire Xinjiang region for 312 days. That is nearly an entire year. It's just a stark, chilling reminder of how absolute this control can be. So that brings us to the why. Why do governments do this? They have their official reasons, of course, but what are the real reasons they end up pulling the plug? Let's dig into the official excuses and the actual abuses.
You'd probably assume the justifications are always about, grave threats to national security. And yeah, sometimes that's the claim. But you will not believe this. Countries like Syria, Iraq, and Algeria have repeatedly shut down their entire national internet for one simple reason: to stop high school kids from cheating on their final exams. No, I am not kidding.
But okay, the cheating thing it's kind of an absurd outlier. The much more common and way more cynical reason is almost always about one thing: control. It's used to silence protesters, like we saw in Bangladesh and during the Arab Spring in Egypt. It's used to control what people see and hear during an election, like in Venezuela. Or, in one of the most shocking recent examples, it was used in Libya right after a horrific flood, basically to stop people from going online and criticizing the government's awful response.
Now, using a kill switch to silence your own people, well, it comes with a price tag, and it is a massive one. Let's talk about the staggering cost, both economic and human, when a country decides to just go dark.
Remember that 5-day shutdown in Bangladesh? The estimated cost to their economy was nearly $400 million.
And behind that giant number, you have to remember there are about 1 million freelancers in that country whose entire livelihood just evaporated overnight. They had no idea when or if they'd be able to work again.
And to bring this home for a minute, what would that look like in a country like the United States? Well, economists estimate that just one single day without the internet could cost the U.S. economy over $7 billion for one day. The financial fallout is it's almost unthinkable.
Okay, so we've established this is an immense power that can cause immense damage. So what can we do about it? Are we all just at the mercy of our governments? Or are there ways to fight back and protect our connection to the world?
Well, right now, there are basically two main paths people are exploring to build a more resilient internet. The first is all about technology, things like satellite internet services and these decentralized mesh networks that are much, much harder for a single government to control. And the second path is more philosophical and legal. It's about getting the world to agree that internet access is a fundamental human right.
And, the UN is actually on board with this. Way back in 2016, they officially declared that internet access is a human right, and that these kinds of shutdowns violate international law. The big problem, of course, is that there's no real way to enforce this. It's a really powerful statement, for sure, but it isn't a perfect shield against a government that's determined to pull a plug.
So when you boil it all down, the whole debate comes down to this one crucial tension. It's the balance between a government's desire for security and control and our fundamental freedom to connect, to speak, and to learn in this digital world.
And that really just leaves us with a huge question we all need to think about. In a world that's filled with genuine threats and a lot of misinformation, where do we draw that line? Is having unfiltered access to the internet a right that we need to protect at absolutely any cost? It's something we're all going to have to figure out.